Now, this video is about a sliding blood knot on a leader. So I made it back to the stream where I was at May 2nd, and today's the 24th or 25th, whatever that Saturday is. That's the hole right there where I started last time. There's the tree. My phone's on 91% battery, so I'm gonna try and do this one take over again. It's 3 weeks later. I have some current moving in the water, but I also have some wind. It's a little bit muddy out, but let's see where I get today. Alright, so I've been doing a bunch of changes to my sighter, and what this is, my leader is 15 feet to 17 pound, and then I got 35 feet of 8 pound that goes to a 0x piece. Now you can see this is a tri-sighter. It's green here, white here, and then orange in the middle. And then I have 8 pound test that goes all the way down to a tippet ring right here. But I have 2 blood knots that can slide wherever I want them to go. And I think I'm really gonna like this setup a lot more, because this tippet ring, before I went down to like 4x tippet from the sighter down to the tippet ring, and then the tippet ring had the tag and the dropper on it, or the dropper and the point, but now it goes directly 8 pound test to the tippet ring to my 2 flies. And right now they're 2 size 18s, but one of them's on a competition dry hook, and the other one is on a jig hook with a 2.4 millimeter bead. So what is a blood knot? Other than a knot, it is a way of connecting different fishing lines together in a secure manner. Now, in this pocket guide from Orvis that goes over leaders, knots, and materials, it shows how to tie the blood knot or the barrel knot. But let's go over the reason why we want to know this knot. So there are different types of leaders, and you can go out and buy a knotless leader. It's in a big coil like this. It's a knotless leader. Even though there is technically 2 knots on it, you got your welded loop and whatnot. Anyway, so the other type is a knotted leader. And what this is you have a butt section and your butt material, and then you have it going into smaller diameters of material until you get to your tippet. And the tippet's just a long piece of fishing line till it goes to your fly. And in this book at the back, there is formulas on how to tie together the different lengths and diameters of tippet and butt sections to get different lengths of leaders using tippet materials in different weights, diameters, and tensile strength. So the smaller the number, like this is 7x, the thinner thousandths of an inch it is. And then obviously the braking tensile is a lot smaller. So you use the blood knot to tie those together, as well as the butt sections, to make the butt section sturdy enough to get the fly line to arc over. Now, getting into the blood knot and the barrel knot and how to tie it. Basically, you're going to tie a clinch knot, because that is one of the ways on how to attach your tippet line to a hook. So we're going to use this. We're going to pretend this is the eye of the hook. We're going to take this big hook here, and we're going to wrap the tag end of the line over the running line. And this all depends on the thickness of the actual line itself. Right there, that's 5 times. And then we're just going to go back through that big hole that we created at the beginning, and we're going to cinch that down. That is a clinch knot. Now we're going to take 2 clinch knots and put them together, and that will make a blood knot. Now I got some green paracord here, and I got some blue paracord here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to cross over one tag end over the other, and I'm going to create an X. I'm going to stick my finger inside that X. Then I'm going to wrap over itself over the opposite running line. That's 5 times. Then where my finger was at, I'm going to put the tag end through there, and then I'm going to switch over and I'm going to pinch that original X off and wrap the opposite direction with the opposite tag line over the opposite running line. Then I'm going to take the tag end back through the same hole where the opposite tag line is running through, the opposite direction, so that it looks like this. And then you can cinch that down, and then when you pull everything tight, these 2 tag ends are going to be straight across from each other when you pull that down. And this paracord is not cinching very tight, but that's what it looks like. On my reel here, I have 30 feet of 17-pound test in 15 thousandths diameter. And I have 30 feet of 12-pound test in 13 thousandths diameter, going to a blood knot that has UV resin on it, to a piece of tri-sider material, to another blood knot with UV resin on it, and that is 0x. That is 11 thousandths of an inch. So that 13 goes to 11, that goes to 8. Now I have 4 feet of this 10 thousandths of an inch tied from this blood knot all the way, there's a blood knot, down to a micro swivel. And then there's a clinch knot on that micro swivel. But backing up, here is one sliding blood knot. Now I can adjust the depth of this all the way up to this other one. This one, I only got one line on it, one tag end, so that I could see it. And then this big 10-inch piece of orange cider material that I can track in the water very easily. All right, so now let's try and tie this on some 8-pound Cortland camo here. Let's get all this stuff out of the way so it's not distracting. All right, so right here I have a piece of 8-pound Cortland, which is 10 thousandths of an inch. Now I ran out of Orvis tri-cider, and I have 0x, 2x, and 4x in what is this? SA, Scientific Anglers. All right, so I'm going to strip off a piece of the 0x, and you can see it goes from green to white to orange and then back to green. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this. I want some more. I'm going to cut it at the white section again, right here. And get rid of this. So, you can take, I'm going to take this and I'm going to cut it in half, cut the orange in half. And then I'm going to cut the white in half. And that'll give me sections of white and green, white and orange, and green and orange, or yellow and orange, whatever you want to call it. So now I'm going to take this so one side's orange, and one side's white. This becomes the leader. Now, it gets kind of tricky, but I believe this is very beneficial. So we're still going to make an X, one tag end over top of the other, and then what I do is I'm going to slide this up into here, come underneath of everything, and then stick my finger back through and make a loop that I wrap my finger around. And I'm going to wrap over top of both of these. Didn't leave myself enough, but I'm going to put that through the loop where my finger was at. The orange is the tag. All right, I got confused for a second here. The orange is the running line and the orange is the tag. So we're going to wrap around both the running line and the leader line, that is the 8-pound test. We're going to go 6 times. So that's 3, 4, 5, and 6. And then we're going to go back through the hole that we pinched off. And then we're going to transfer all of this over very carefully. So I'm going to put that part of my thumb right there, pinch that loop, and pinch the white, the green, and the 8-pound all at once. So now the running line is green and the tag end is white. Now I'm going to go the opposite direction 6 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Uh-oh, I dropped it. 6. And then I'm going to find the orange tag underneath of my thumb and go the opposite direction back through the original loop. And I'm going to kind of pull this stuff a little bit tight. Now your knot should look like this. And then I'm going to come over here to the opposite tag end and the opposite running line, and I'm going to do the opposite wraps. And then the same thing, I'm going to find the same hole that opposite tag is coming through. I'm going to wet this knot. Actually, I'm just going to wet my fingers and wet the knot so it's still on camera. Now at this point, we have to straighten up our running line so that it is parallel with the leader line. Because if you pull this tight and it's not parallel, it's going to get jumbled up. So at this point, before I cinch the knot down, I'm going to make sure it still slides, and it slides. So now I'm going to pull the running lines again. So you can see the orange side cinched up and the white side didn't. So I'm going to give the white just a little bit of a tug and make sure that everything still slides. It slides. There, everything's cinched up, nice and tight, and everything still slides. Yes. So now, I'm going to come in here. Where are my nippers at? Hold on. I'm going to take the orange running line and pull everything away from it, and then get my nippers in here nice and close. Cut that running line off and do the same thing on the other side. Technically this is the green running line. I'm going to come in here, cut this off close. Alright, my left fingers didn't want to work, but so now I can cut. Now I have two tag ends. What I'm going to do is I'm going to shorten these up the same length by folding them over and saying that's about an inch right there. Yeah, maybe an inch and an eighth. But now I have two opposite colors that I can see on the water from about 20 feet away. And it slides. So now I can keep track of the depth of the strike zone on the fly, anywhere, anytime.